Yes, hello everybody. Welcome to tonight's Cultural Quarantine Show. Really happy you're here with me, and I'm looking forward to this wonderful show. Let me put, since we're live now, I can actually change here a little bit my view, so I can actually check who is already live with us. And see if everything is working fine here. It looks good, I think. Okay, all right. So we're gonna have two guests joining us from Mexico City tonight. And before I'm gonna go to these two guests, I just want to talk a tiny little bit about yesterday evening. We had a very fun show joining, had Darren Solomon from New York joining and Park Stickney from Switzerland. And that was actually quite a long show. We did like 1.5 hours. Let's see if it's going to be that long tonight. Maybe not, maybe yes. We'll see. And there was a little fun thing which I want to share with you guys, which happened yesterday. They were like creating on the spot a little theme song for the show, and I thought it was funny, so I just want to quickly share that with you guys.
We should sing that theme song for Rudy.
Oh yeah, should we sing that song?
You ready?
Yeah, hold on.
We'll play it and sing it at the same time.
What time is it?
It's Rudy time.
Where is it?
It's in Berlin.
Rudy's show's got lots of
fun people
and melodies,
music,
and more. Hold on, I need another.
Okay, enough of that. Well, it was quite fun, like you can see. So we were like chatting and having a lot of fun being there. And now I want to introduce to you like, well, let's say a power couple. How about that? And it's Victoria Reed and Erik Deutsch. And they're like waiting in the background right now. I'm just going to bring them up to the screen and we'll tell you a little bit more about them once I have them on the screen. So let's see. Here we are. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hi.
Hi Rudy, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. How's the temperature in Mexico City right now? How is it?
It's pretty warm.
It's hot. The temperature here is usually mild, usually around 70 Fahrenheit. Kind of like spring weather year round. Sometimes it rains more. Sometimes it's usually sunny, at least some of the day. But in these weeks in quarantine, it's been hot. So in the 80s, cool. And pretty a little sweaty in here.
Sounds like a good spot to be, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it could be worse.
So actually today in Berlin was also like the heat is slowly coming up. We're having nice spring weather here. I had a beautiful walk in the sun, and well, actually, how's it about walking? Can you guys go out? Is that okay in Mexico City? How is that at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, everyone is being encouraged to stay in their homes, and it's been great to see that people are really paying attention to those guidelines, because when you go out on the streets, it's like very empty. But it's okay to, go to the grocery store, go for a little walk. So we've been going for a walk maybe like once a week.
Okay.
So yeah. Not very often, but we've been so careful. We've been in the apartment for almost 5 weeks. So we're just being careful. But we also have a roof that we can go to the roof and sit in the sun and So that
Oh,
helps.
nice. Maybe we can go to the roof later on. How about that?
Maybe.
Well,
How Wi-Fi is there?
I know I got curious. So actually, like for the audience, some of the people might not know you, and I'm going to bring up a little bit info here, just so for the audience to kind of like introduce the both of you. I just give a little bit of biography quickly insight. First, we're going to start, of course, with the lady, which is like, so Victoria Reed. She is born, where do I have it? Here it is. So, see, she's born in Detroit, and she moved later on to Chicago to study philosophy, which I'm actually quite interested in. I'm going to have maybe some questions later on. I was reading a little bit, and then it happened to be that you kind of like, got discovered from a manager called Gary Waldman, who is Friends of Citizens Cope, if I got that right, and brought you to New York, and that's where you recorded your first album. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, about what's going on musically on your side. And I'm going to have a couple questions to that. And that's like in short about you. And actually, I'm going to ask you right away, you said that you recorded it in your apartment in Mexico City. So I was kind of like, I was thinking like, since when are you guys actually in Mexico City? Or did you go there first and then Erik came, or how was that?
It was actually Erik that came here first.
Mm-hmm.
We had been living in New York. Erik was in New York for 14 years.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for about 7 or 8 years after that first recording, or 7 years, I guess. And Erik had first come here with Charlie Hunter.
Yes.
Yeah, which is also the first time I performed in Switzerland.
I see. Okay.
With Charlie Hunter at Moods in Zurich.
Oh, well, good place.
I wonder if I met you on that trip. Probably not that trip, but soon after that.
Probably, yes.
And because that's where our connection exists initially, is Lucerne, Switzerland. But yeah, I came here with Charlie Hunter in 2007, I think, and just had a wonderful time and made some great friends and some connections that continued to develop over the years. And Victoria and I started coming back together to Mexico City, and then to Guadalajara and other places in Mexico and San Miguel de Allende. And so long story short, we played a lot of music here. We made a lot of friends, and we fell in love with Mexico.
All right.
We got married here in Mexico, and then after all that time, we thought maybe there was a way to make our home base here.
Okay, beautiful.
And here we are.
Actually, one thing, like a mutual friend of ours just joined. Like, it's Brett. Hey, Brett, how you doing? He is like, he's like asking, where are the sombreros?
Of course he is.
So, and now also like a little introduction of you, Erik. You already mentioned like you've been playing with like Charlie Hunter for quite some time. You played on 2 records of his, and yet like Erik is born in Washington D.C. and he got to study the piano, if I got that right, in Boulder, Colorado, and moved later on to Williamsburg in New York, and that's kind of like where you guys met, I guess. I assume somehow, and now the New York package kind of has moved to Mexico, right? And so so like about Erik, he's quite a busy like piano player, keyboard player. He's doing a lot of stuff. Like he has also like a podcast going, which he talks about jazz, and it comes from Brooklyn. And I went to the page, and just kind of like to help this as a little introduction, I'm just going to show you guys how that sounds like when Erik is doing his podcast.
sounds of Brooklyn and beyond, with your host, Erik Deutsch, on Solo Jazz, Jalisco Radio Guadalajara, Puerto Vallarta, y Ciudad Guzman.
Well. That's like I was wondering, like are you did you compose that intro track? Is that from you or?
The intro track is from Charlie Hunter.
Ah, I get it. I see. So,
yeah, and it's a song called Astronaut Love Triangle.
Okay.
From our album Baboon Strength. So I'm playing on it.
All right.
And Tony Mason is the drummer.
Great. Very groovy. Like I want to dance when I hear it. So yeah, like, and it said like it's at episode 238 or something like that. Right? I mean, you've been doing that for quite a while. Like when did you start that?
I think almost 5 years. I'm not sure exactly when I started, but yeah, it started about then. I met the woman who is my translator on the show, yes. Sarah Valenzuela. She's from Guadalajara, and she's a singer and a performer. She had a popular band in the 90s in Mexico City, Las Dosis. And she's great. We met in New York about 5 years ago, and we made friends. And she asked if I would do a special weekly program on her radio show.
Okay.
And her show is called Solo Jazz. It's been going 28 years now, I think. So she's a jazz icon in Guadalajara for hosting and supporting and promoting so much jazz music. So I started the show then, and I've continued here when I'm in Mexico, and when I'm on the road, I just make the show from my laptop and send it to Sara, and she translates, and it's a lot of fun. I love doing it. And now we have a podcast on iTunes and a playlist on Spotify. So
wow. And I mean, I'm really like, how many hours does that, like that, you have so many music which you listen to and so many records you're reviewing on that podcast. Like how many hours do you spend on that, like a week? Like, or how is, or let's say by the podcast, Yeah,
probably. It's not, I'm pretty fast at it now. So I'd say an hour a week at the most.
Okay. Wow.
And just about, I have to choose the music, and then I talk about the music and record that.
Yes.
And I send it to Sara, and she does the translation, which is probably harder work than what I do. And then after the show is finished, then I upload it to iTunes and do the social media and everything. So it's not too bad. It's worth it, whatever it is. I love it.
And so when the people want to listen to it, where should they go?
They can go to iTunes. It's called The Sounds of Brooklyn and Beyond. Okay. So just look for that on iTunes, or on my Spotify page. You can find the playlist that has the music from that week and other music from past weeks, highlights. So you can subscribe to the playlist too.
Okay. So Victoria, is that your voice also in the beginning, like that beautiful woman's voice, like introducing? Yes.
That's her.
I kind of thought so. So I guess since you're both there, I'm gonna switch and play a little between you guys a little bit. So yeah, you have a new album coming up, and but before we're gonna talk about the album, maybe a little bit, it's like that you started to study psychology, or you like how deep did you get into psychology? Like a lot, or philosophy? Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Philosophy, of course.
Similar words. Yeah, I started. I think I took my first ever philosophy class in high school and knew I was into it. I was onto something. And then in college, at DePaul in Chicago, maybe my second year, I decided to major in philosophy. And from that point on, I went like really hardcore into it. So yeah, I went pretty full on. I was doing an independent study with the head of the philosophy department at one point. And yeah, I think I also was simultaneously diving in deep to sort of like more esoteric and spiritual studies. and maybe going through a lot in my life also. And really it just kind of, I reached a point where I realized it's not healthy to think about stuff that much.
Okay.
I got like too good at thinking. Philosophy, I don't know. I think that it has its purposes in our world, and especially for the right kinds of people. But I think that I kind of reached a breaking point with it where I got a little too abstract with it, and I just felt terrible. I kind of like lost my sense of. I don't know if you guys have an expression like this over there, but it's like sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Okay.
I don't know if you've an expression, but that was like really, but it's real. It's like, it's the real thing. Like sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. You can't break it down into a million things.
Okay,
and,
never heard that. Yeah.
And so around that point, when I was kind of like, it was just becoming extremely uncomfortable for me, like how much I was thinking about things. Yeah. I picked up my guitar, and where I had my whole life I had been writing songs, but had never played an instrument. Mm-hmm. And I finally picked up this guitar that I had lying around and resolved to learn to teach myself to play it, and started writing songs. And it was really like the one thing that brought me relief from just feeling like really overwhelmed in the headspace I've been. And that's kind of like where everything shifted. And I joke that I have like a lifetime of songwriting material from the existential crisis that my philosophy studies brought on. So that degree maybe didn't go to waste completely.
Well, no. Well, I don't think so at all, because in a sense, like I was looking now in your new release and your texts, and we're going to talk about it. And I guess, it's like people study something, but it's ingrained in them, and then somehow it shines through everything, even though it's not named or whatever. But I just thought, like, when I looked at your lyrics and everything, then philosophy is so much connected to life, and that's what the things you're talking about. It's so strongly connected to life, and that's why I kind of like was asking, because I kind of think like it's still, even you decided to take on another path. I think it's still there, and it's still part of you, right? And so I have some music which we can play from your record, but let's talk about the record. It's called Aqua Madre, and it's going to be released on April 21st. That's a Friday in a week from now. And some of the music is already on Spotify, I heard, right? So you're releasing like one track after another, and there is like you're going to release another track this week. Which one is going to be?
On Friday, I'm releasing a song called "Heal Your Pain."
Okay. Yeah. And so, is there? Let me see. Oh, actually, yeah, I actually prepared that song. That's actually pretty good. That's. But. Actually, there is one thing about your album, which, well, actually, maybe you guys want to listen to that song, "Heal Your Pain," for a moment, and then we kind of like talk about the album. How about that? You
sure.
Like that?
Good.
Okay, so there comes Victoria Reed, "Heal Your Pain."
I'm not saying you're not doing well for someone who has been to hell and back. Can't you see that I just wanna help, and I can understand that? Oh, some things they just don't go as you had hoped.
Gracias.
So that song is actually inspired by a type of therapy I did called EMDR, in which you basically it's all about sort of like reprocessing trauma and going back into it kind of from a supported place and changing the script in a healing way. That's totally oversimplified, but that's kind of the basics of it. And I had just such an incredible experience with that type of therapy that I actually wrote that song imagining that I was going through that process, not only for myself, but also for my mother and for my grandmother and really anyone else who has sort of, been through something or sort of has something lingering with them, or any kind of pain or there's something like that that's holding them back. I imagine that I'm kind of going back in and healing it for all of us. I think that my generation is very open, especially in the U.S., is really open to the idea of going to therapy and working it out. And I think the older generation, or my parents' generation, maybe not as much. Definitely my grandparents' generation, it was almost unimaginable. So yeah, I don't know. I think that I wanted to write that song just for that cathartic healing experience and the idea of what it would feel like to heal it for all of us. And also just to kind of share the message that true healing is really possible, even when it feels unimaginable, because that has been my experience in life. And I've seen it time and time again. Even when you think that there's no way that you could possibly, there is always a way, is what I've learned. So that's sort of where that song is coming from. We've been reaching out to our friends quite a bit. I think that we've actually found that some friends that maybe we haven't been as in touch with, there's suddenly, everyone has more time on their hands, and there's Zoom and there's Skype, and everyone is kind of reconnecting in pretty interesting ways.
I would add that musically, there's a lot of collaboration going on that normally wouldn't be going on. I know personally, and in Victoria, the two of us have collaborated with different friends. We're making some tracks here, sending them to friends. Or I had a song that had no lyrics, but I sent it to Theo Bleckman, a good friend of ours, and he wrote words to the song, and he's now sent us music for Victoria and I to tinker with, and that's really nice because these are good friends that we love. Theo, Lorenzo, Mariano. I'm just thinking of people I've been collaborating with, Scalia, Alwyn. But I don't think in normal everyday, the old way of life, there wasn't so much time to just say, hey, why don't we do this project?
Yeah.
Everybody's so busy in this modern world, and the music business is no exception. Everybody's, even though we don't have 9-to-5 jobs or as strict a schedule as a lot of other people in the world, it's just a nonstop, line of emails and social media obligations and travel arrangements and this and that. It just seems to take up all the time, and a lot of times for me, what slips through the cracks is creative energy space. Space to practice, to compose, to collaborate, to think, to read. That's what tends to get sacrificed in my life. So it's been really rewarding to connect with friends in that way.
Nice. So talking about creativity, and you also said that in your podcast, right? That you said you should hang loose and don't pressure yourself, but if the bug bites, right, then you should then get going and do something, right? So how about for now, and then later on we're going to look at some stuff you did, Erik, but how about we're going to go to the piano now and you guys do a little performance? Would you like that, or
not? Let's do it.
All right.
Okay, here we go. We're going to walk from our living room into the piano room. So follow me. Okay. Are you still with us, Rudy?
Yes.
Fantastic. I think Victoria's going to go over here on this corner. Yeah?
What do you think?
That sounds good.
Okay. Am I too farther that way?
Let's go in. How about something like that? I think that looks pretty good,
That looks perfect.
I think it'll work. So we're going to play a song from Victoria's new record that hasn't been released yet. It will be the 4th single. And there's a great video for this one too that everyone will see one day. It's just getting finished up. And this is a song called Life to Be Adored. And do you want to set it up with anything? Or just sing it?
Let's play the song.
We'll sing it and then we can talk about what it means if you guys
Wonderful.
want. Okay. Okay.
Shivering on the beach, sun sewing, I can practically breathe it. Miami, nothing it seems battered by laughing hearts about love. Well, if I can take me to that peaceful place, oh, what am I waiting for? And if I could just make me something in that vein, alive to be adored, alive to be adored. And handling seriously weaving over my favorite spice girl. She's the sweetest thing and for he had met all. Well, if I can take me to that peaceful place, oh, what am I waiting for? And if I could just make me something in that vein, alive to be adored, alive to be adored, alive to be adored, alive to be adored. Alive to be adored, alive to be adored, alive to be adored, alive to be adored. People never change. Lazy people never change. Could we ever be the same? People never change. Lazy people never change. Could we ever be the same?
Bravo, bravo! Big applause, big applause.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rudy.
Audience, how did you like it? Well, can't hear them, can only see them. So beautiful song. So what is the title again of the song?
It's Life to be Adored.
Life to be adored. Okay, so tell me about your adorable life.
So that song is actually an expansion on a meditation that I do every day. It was kind of, I adapted it from a few other things that I had learned. But it's really just this visualization method where you kind of like tap either shoulder while you're doing it. And you go through a series of visualizations. And the first thing is a peaceful place, which is a very kind of classic, meditation prompt, is to take yourself to a peaceful place. And, I think my whole life, and I grew up in a pretty spiritual family, so I've always been, meditation has always been somewhere on the radar. So anytime that anyone told me to imagine a peaceful place, I never found it that helpful, because I always kind of thought, I need to imagine like a peaceful, a gentle stream, or, an open field somewhere. And it never really worked for me until one day I realized that my peaceful place could be actual lived experiences. And I found myself often taking myself to like Miami Beach in the 90s, my childhood there. Yes. Just like golden moments from that, or hunting for snails in a friend's backyard in England that we went to go visit once. And just these little snippets that for whatever reason really stuck with me and really carried a charge of joy and of ease and of kind of just like, just good vibes in general. And once I started doing that, I realized that I could really conjure up that energy almost on demand. And now with enough practice, I mean, I've been doing it for a few years now, every morning, and it kind of feels like my superpower a little bit, and for someone who, I've had maybe there have been times in my life where I haven't felt as at ease in the world, just to be able to conjure that up. Again, it really does feel kind of like a superpower. So that song is an expansion on it.
So where have you been this morning? Where was that place?
Where did I take myself this morning? It's been a lot of the friend's backyard in England, the snail hunting.
All right.
I don't know what's that about. And also a lot of like the first time I ever went to Paris as a little girl. So that's been coming up lately, which is a new one. But I don't know. I guess I have a bit of a wandering heart. I like to take myself to different countries and different.
Wow, but that's cool. I mean, you have options, right? I mean, you have a big selection of places. I mean, that's pretty good. That's nice. That's really nice. So actually, Erik, do you have a place too? Like, is there also a place where you go, like when you want to be peaceful inside, or you have also many places?
Well, that's a good question. I totally support everything Victoria does with her meditations, and I think about them. I tend to think that my meditation usually in terms of, the places I go is usually inside the music, especially with free improvisation. When I sit down and just play, that a lot of times I think is my most relaxed meditative space, for me. But in terms of happy places, I think just so many, like, again, travel with Victoria has been so peaceful for us. And like when I think of our trip to Thailand and Myanmar and our trips to Italy and Spain and Switzerland, yeah, of course, Switzerland. And I just I like Victoria. I had a little bit of a golden childhood. I have a lot of positive memories from childhood with my brother and my sister, my parents. So I do like to go to those places. Absolutely.
It happened actually once to me when I was in New York in the subway. There was like a woman standing in the subway and she had her eyes closed And then she opened up her eyes and she was like smiling, but really like shining big, like smiling. And I was like, I watched her and I was like, and then she's like, it's working. And I'm like, she's like, what?
It's working.
It's working. So I went up to her and said like, you are like smiling, like big smile, and you say it's working. What is working? And she's like, well, like somebody told me that trick, and that is, if you are in a place which you really like, you close your eyes and you think about the place which you normally are. And then you open up your eyes again. And then when you go back to that place where you normally are, which you imagined, that place where you closed your eyes comes back to you. And so while she was in the subway, she was actually then going to that place which she probably was at vacation, thinking about the subway in New York.
I like it.
And I've done that too. Like, so I actually have a library of certain images in me too, which is like when it happens that I'm at a place and I'm like, oh, it's so nice, I want to remember it. I do that. I close my eyes and I think about another place which I normally are, and I have to say it works. It really works.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty amazing.
And New York is one of those. Like, so yeah.
That's great.
So talking about, so you have these pictures inside of you, but we also tend to make pictures, lots of them these days. And I talked to you guys before the show, maybe if you have like some images which you like to share, where there is like a story to it. And so I got a couple images from you, and I would like to show them to the audience. And let me see if I should share my screen with you guys, just like that you can see it. Let's see. Let me for a moment think about how I can do this. So this is that, but I'm gonna go back here. Hold on.
We can watch on Facebook Live also, if it's easier.
Okay. I just want to bring you back into the image. There we go. I have this possibility to kind of like put you next to the image. And so can you see, like the image I'm showing here is New York, and maybe you can say something to that image, why it's important to you?
Sure, yeah. I chose this one. I was going through old photos. I wanted to find something from the 2000s, and that is a picture from the roof of my building in Williamsburg.
Wow.
And yeah, it was an amazing view, and it just reminds me of the excitement I felt when I first moved to New York to find that apartment in Williamsburg on the water, and just how energized I was with music and life. As time went on, that view changed, and buildings, skyscrapers came up little by little, blocked the view to where we couldn't see that bridge anymore. So it's kind of amazing that that's what it was. It was pure and electric, really New York,
Wow, yes.
And so that just reminds me of the time when I moved to New York in 2005 in August.
Okay.
So that picture's probably taken around then, 2006, 2007, around then. So it just reminds me of that energy and how exciting it was for me to make that move to New York, and how important that was for me in my life as a musician and a person.
All right, great picture. And you got pretty lucky with your apartment, I have to say, to have that kind of view. Wow.
I have pretty good apartment luck, fortunately.
So here we have another picture, which is actually that's a place which is quite familiar to me. This is in Lucerne, and maybe Victoria, you want to talk about it?
So that was 2 summers ago at the Blue Balls Festival in Lucerne. My good friends there in Switzerland actually kind of reached out to the festival bookers and kind of like pulled the whole thing together to get me involved, and it was just such a magical experience. Unfortunately, Erik was on tour, so he wasn't able to be there, but I was able to put together a really great band locally, and yeah, it was a really magical night. There was a lunar eclipse that night.
Wow.
That coincided right with the moment that we were on stage, right during our set time. And yeah, I'll kind of just never forget that moment, because I think the first time, you know, when Erik and I first started dating, he took me to Lucerne very shortly thereafter, maybe like a year into us dating.
Mm.
Fell in love with that place right away. I mean, it felt like a something out of a fairy tale. And we had always, you know, known and heard about the Blue Balls Fest. So to be able to actually play in that beautiful plaza overlooking the lake with the moon, it was just a really incredible experience. And I was really blown away by just the audience and how connected everyone was. And it was, yeah, I think it was definitely, that was a pretty big highlight.
Oh yeah,
of my career, and in terms of shows that I've played, that was definitely up there and some of my favorites. Yeah,
it's a great festival, and that's a great location. And I just want to, you know, I said it earlier, but I want to give a shout out to our closest family friends, Brett and Laura, and Oscar and Marlo, and they're the reason we started coming to visit Lucerne, and they're the reason we met you. And shout out to Sid and Danny and Marquito and Vero and Marco and all our friends there that have been so supportive and helped us to perform in Switzerland and not only perform, but just spend time there and vacation there and get to know that beautiful, beautiful village and that great country.
Yes, I can totally agree to that. Like I live half of the year. I actually live there, and I have to say, yes, I love it too. It's a beautiful place. So, well, hopefully you'll come back to the Blue Balls, right? And play there again.
Yeah. So I hope I'll be there that time.
All right. So let's. Here we have another image. Let me move you guys a little bit around. So this is from Erik. What do we see here, Erik?
I don't know. Tell me, because I can't see it.
Okay. It's an image. You have a huge crowd, an audience behind you, and you are with a band. And
yes. So this is an image of a concert at Red Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado.
All right.
And this is a natural amphitheater carved into the red rocks that shoot out of the mountain there. And as you can see, it's just an incredible place to not only see a concert, but to perform a concert I can't even believe it.
Wow.
And as a younger kid, when I was in college in Boulder, I saw concerts like Bjork and Radiohead and Wilco and REM. I saw some great concerts there. And so to be able to perform there, I think I've played at Red Rocks now, 5 times.
All right.
And just about every summer for the last 5 years I've played there. And it is just, it's a highlight every time. It's nothing quite like it. That's a picture with my band, Leftover Salmon.
All right. Uh-huh.
That I was a member of for 4 years. And my brothers, my family. And that, I believe, is from 2018, but I'm not 100% positive. But I think we played there on the 4th of July. I think that's what that show is there. And so that's Leftover Salmon in Colorado at Red Rocks. 9,000 people.
Wow.
Sold out.
Wow.
Just a great place, a magical place.
So it looks really, really beautiful. And for you, did you ever think that you're going to play there when you were like listening to your stars when you were there? Or was there like a wish inside of you where you're like, damn, I would like to perform there?
Yeah, I think, I don't remember how much I did that when I was younger. I feel like I just say, well, probably, okay, hopefully one day. That's kind of how I think of it. I usually don't. I don't know why, but
He's a very present person. You know, I'm kind of like the wisher, and I'm always looking off to the future. And Erik is kind of just like, all right, let's take it as it comes.
Okay.
Yeah, I know a lot of musicians. They see a concert and they're like, I have to be there. It's like almost like pain, like that should be me, or like that's gonna be me. And like I don't think I've ever totally thought like that. But of course, when I saw Red Rocks, I was like, I really hope I get to play here one day. So it is cool to just, when you go on that stage, and it's always an all day event. You go in the morning and do sound check and hang out there all day, and the crowd comes around 5 o'clock and you see the sunset. And a lot of times there's also strange weather there. Like there's a thunderstorm or
there's like always a rainbow.
Yeah, there's rainbows, there's big winds, there's crazy clouds. It's some kind of vortex for intensity, you know, and so it's always a really special day.
If you can, someday you should try to go to a show there. It's really special.
I would love to. Is this, I guess this year probably not happening, I assume, or is it, do you guys know?
I think as of now, we have to assume nothing's happening till it is, but it does. They do concerts into September and October there. The weather's good.
Okay.
So maybe the end of the season. And a great thing about Red Rocks is not only are there concerts, but there's films.
Yes.
You can go watch like Big Lebowski or like Dracula with an orchestra or something. You know, there's nice things like that are sometimes free. And the other thing is that you can go there any day. It's a park, state park, maybe a national park even. So you can go and climb the stairs. You can exercise. You can run. You can hike around. There's lots of hiking and walking to do there. So even on a day where no concerts are, you're welcome to go check it out. And that's
beautiful. So let's see. Here we have another image. That is like home gardening, or what is this about? No.
I guess some version of it. That is actually from, that is a behind the scenes photo from a music video that I just released last week for my song Same Way. And that's actually in our apartment, the room that we were first in our living room. That living room was transformed into a garden wonderland for this music video. And it was quite the transformation. So, you know, I kind of had this idea for the video inspired by these two fountains here in Mexico City that I love so much. One is a replica of Michelangelo's David, and the other is this beautiful woman holding these two big jugs of water with these braids. And I don't know, I just came up with the idea for this song one day, inspired by, this kind of has inspiration drawn from astrology and drawn from the tarot. And some of the symbolism of that reminded me of those fountains. And I thought, what if I told this story where me and my love interest are sort of transformed into these fountains? And then the director that I hired, Daniela Tenya, she came up with the idea to have this transformation that takes place, this whole other transformation in which I'm transported into a this kind of like hazy garden magical wonderland world that can sort of be representative of like the haze that you feel when you're deeply in love, that sort of thing. So yeah, I hadn't really planned on that large of a production, but they came up with the idea, and this incredible team here came over and just, I mean, they brought in real grass from a town 45 minutes away. Crazy. It was really crazy. But I was pretty stressed out because our apartment is like our sanctuary here. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what's happening in my apartment? But I think it was worth it because what, I think that the imagery that they ended up coming up with was really something special. And I'm really excited about.
It looks beautiful. It actually reminds me a little bit about Kratzen, if I say that right. This photographer who makes like these huge images, like the set design, and he has like sometimes these kind of like twilight things going on. It's very beautiful. And so what stayed in the apartment? How much green is still there? Did it all go back into nature, or?
We had an ant situation that lasted 6 months or 4 months. But now
don't tell me that. Just some ants. Really, that's it. I mean, we have plants that were here before.
A few props here and there.
A few props here and there.
Yeah, but the garden disappeared rather quickly.
All right, I see. Well, and so this image, we're gonna see it where? Like this in the video, like that's the set design for the video.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the
and
video is up on YouTube. for the song Same Way.
Is that you have your own channel on YouTube? It's like, can people find it at Victoria Reed on YouTube? Is that where they can find the video?
What my channel, what the like link to it is, but if you Google, if you search Victoria Reed on YouTube, my channel.
Okay,
will come
cool.
up.
So we're looking forward to.
Yeah.
I will watch it when the show is over. So it looks great. Looks
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So here is another image. What is this? What do I see here? Like it's a band room. It's you jamming or recording.
Yeah. So this is a photo that I chose from the middle New York phase. So I thought that this kind of represented the third era, and this is a still shot from the video shoot from a song from my album Dearest Darling, which was from my album called Outlaw Jazz. I think it came out in 2014 or 2015. I think 2014, and it's the first song that Victoria and I recorded together, I believe.
Other than my album.
I think it came out before, I think. Well, whatever it is, it's the first song that Victoria and I collaborated on my records. And that's my band from New York. It's Mike McGinnis and Tony Mason, Jeff Hill, Avi Bortnick, and John Graboff. And all friends and dear friends and fantastic musicians that are really important to my life in the last 20 years. And we were set up in Jeff Hill's studio. So that's Jeff Hill's recording studio in Brooklyn, in Greenpoint. That's the place where I first met Victoria.
All right.
On the in that little room. That's where I first met her. And just an important place where I recorded a lot of records, my own and some others. And just thought that would be a nice still to include. It just represents the era when Victoria and I first met each other, first started working together. And just really, really beautiful time. Cool.
So let's take that opportunity, maybe for another performance of you guys, since we've seen you, playing in the image. Maybe do you have another tune which you might want to play for the audience?
Yeah, let's do one. Should I do one, or you want to do it? You want to sing?
Okay, sure.
Yeah, we'll just sing a little Bob Dylan. Little Bob Dylan cover, okay?
Sounds great.
The other one. The other one.
You're gonna make me lonesome.
Yeah. This is You're Gonna Make Me Lonesome When You Go.
Beautiful.
I've seen love go by my door. It's never been this close before. Never been so easy or so slow. Been shooting in the dark too long. When something isn't right, it's wrong. You're gonna make me lonesome when you go. Dragging clouds so high above, I've only known careless love. It always just hit me from below. This time around it's more correct. Right on the talk, it's so direct. You're gonna make me lonesome when you go. I was on the hillside going crazy. Crickets talking back and forth and running. never realize the time. Situations have ended, sad relationships have all been bad. Might have been like villain and rainbows, but there's no way I can compare all those scenes to this affair. You're gonna make me lonesome when you go. You're gonna make me wonder what I'm doing, staying far behind without you. You're gonna make me wonder what I'm seeing. Oh, you're gonna make me give myself a good talking to. Oh, I looked for you in Ohio, San Francisco, and Ashton. You're gonna have to leave me now, I know. I'll see you in the sky above, in the tall grass and the ones I love. You're gonna make me lonesome when you go.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Dear guests out there, maybe some of you who tuned in later on, this is Victoria Reed and Erik Deutsch live from Mexico City, broadcasting, kind of like we have a connection to Berlin, so they're live from Mexico City. And yeah, wonderful tune. Thanks a lot. I think it's really appreciated to have this beautiful music going on live from you. It's always so nice to have it live. It's always so heartwarming. I love it. Beautiful. Thanks a lot. There is one thing at the moment which is I don't really understand. It could be that the video is blocked because I played your song in full. Because there is a little thing where it said there is a claim that they might not allow me to play this video because there are some, artistic rights involved. So that means that the video which we are doing is definitely not lost because eventually, it can be seen. But I don't see any comments from the audience, and I just got like I just
trying to look at the photos and it wasn't letting me click on the video.
And so it's on what it's like, a friend of mine is like, I can't watch the video, and like on my Facebook it says the video is blocked, but I asked another friend, he was saying no I can see it, so I don't know what is true or what not, but just to let you know that we're not getting any comments because probably nobody at the moment can see it or can comment on it. So hopefully this is going to get resolved. I quickly wrote to Facebook and I said, like, hey guys, it's the artists who are performing who own the rights. So maybe you want to lower your claim. But another musician also had the problem. He was playing another song so perfectly that there was a claim coming in of artistic rights. So, but I guess it's a learning curve. That's what you do in quarantine. You learn new things and new limits. So this is kind of strange, but I'm sure. So it's just you and me now. no, it's so we'll continue a little bit, and I don't know, maybe it's going to get resolved, but I'm sure the video is going to be seen afterwards. So just to let you know that that's why there is like no. I'm like, what is the audience saying? What are they doing? Like there's nobody there. But there will be. I would say let's look a little bit into like the stuff which is Erik is coming up with, some new record, and so we're looking a little bit into that, and then maybe we're gonna close the show with another performance, or we'll see, right?
Okay.
So actually, let me put me next to you again. So Erik, let us know what's going on right now musically. Like what's coming up?
Well, I recently joined a band called the Dixie Chicks.
All right.
And yeah, it's a big popular band, and I'm very excited to be the keyboard player in the touring band for Dixie Chicks. And there's a new album for Dixie Chicks coming out. It's supposed to come out in a couple weeks. Not 100% sure if that's going to be pushed back a little bit or what the plan is. And we're supposed to have a summer tour also, which probably will be postponed. Still waiting on final information. But at the moment, I'm just existing and not worrying about it too much. So that's big news for me in my career. Musically, otherwise, I've been writing songs, like I said earlier, and collaborating and recording. And I have a new album that's a live recording that I made in New York right before I moved, and featuring my band from Falling Flowers, very much similar to the band you saw in the photo in the studio from Brooklyn. And that album is going to be called Erik Deutsch Live at Lunatico. Lunatico is a bar in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn. Right. That's a wonderful place to play and has been my home for my music the last few years, and very, very thankful for it that it exists. I love playing there. And so we recorded a nice record there, and I think it's finally time to get that thing out to the world. So that'll be coming out in about 2 weeks, and it's on May 1st is the plan. And it's a live record that just really captures the band and our energy when we play at Bar Lunatico.
Beautiful. Where will it be announced if people want to grab the record, want to hear it?
Yeah, you'll be able to hear it on all streaming services, on Spotify and iTunes and Apple Music and everywhere across the world. And you can look at my website, which is hammerandstring.com, or my Instagram or my Facebook. I'll be announcing everything there.
Great. So you brought in one tune of the record. It's called where is it? Let me see. It's called Red Car, right?
Red Car. What a title. Well, it's not my tune. It's a song by Art Pepper. And I have purchased the rights to this song in case there's any questions from Facebook. Okay. But no, it's the opening track on the record, and it's a song that we often open our shows with. It's a fun song. Art Pepper was a saxophonist from California who was prolific in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Really special talent. And this is just a cool blues, kind of a modern blues that he wrote, and I think it's a fun performance to hear.
So let's have a listen. Maybe we're not going to listen to the whole tune, maybe because maybe Facebook doesn't allow us. But let's tune in the song, ladies and gentlemen. This is Erik Deutsch with Red Car.
Yeah, thanks, man.
right. Beautiful record. Let me get you back on screen.
Oh, thanks.
Wow, this is that's quite, I would say, the New York energy, right? Right in there. Very
it's
nicely captured. Yes.
Yeah, like what I said, that was the energy of that bar. It's really it's like a neighborhood bar, that place, so you can really get kind of wild in there. It's great.
So you're going to play there again, I assume, right?
I try to play there anytime I go to New York. I love playing there.
It's the best.
How is it actually in Mexico City? You have these kind of bars there too? Like, are there places which you like to go play? Is there a scene? Is there? Yep.
It's good. It's, in fact, right in our neighborhood, within walking distance, are 3 jazz clubs, I think. Is that right? Yeah. 3 clubs that are great to play at. And not only jazz, but what's cool about Mexico City is that they're not so concerned about genre. Mm-hmm. So it might be a jazz club, but they don't, if you want to go in there and play some electronic pop music, nobody freaks out. Everybody's cool, you know? So, and there's a really great nightclub around the corner that is a hot club for DJs, but they have live bands earlier in the night, 10 o'clock, the live band on the weekends, and then at midnight, the DJs. So Victoria has played there, I played there, and they're open to all kinds of different styles.
Okay.
Great audience. Great audience.
Wonderful. So I think we're slowly coming to an end of the show.
Thanks.
And what we could do, if you like, is there a Fender Rhodes next to you? Maybe? No. No.
Well, there's a Wurlitzer, but it's not plugged in.
Okay, good. So, well, I have to thank you, for taking your time to be on this show. It has been wonderful. It was beautiful to visit you in your home in Mexico City, to listen to you play, to have a little bit an insight of your stories. Thank you very, very much that you took the time to be with us here. And normally probably would have questions now, but unfortunately I guess they can't.
Thank you so much. It was so connect with you. We had such a nice time.
Yeah, it's so nice to talk with you, Rudy. It's it's a benefit of this quarantine is that we haven't sat down and talked like this probably since I saw you in a coffee shop in Lucerne 5 years ago.
It's true.
We email and can talk a little bit, but this is really special. So thank you for inviting us. Thanks for taking the time, and thanks for reading about our music and supporting us. Appreciate it.
So, dear audience, look for it. There is a beautiful album coming out from Victoria Reed. There is some great music coming out from Erik Deutsch. I will try to put that into the commentary so that you can follow the links and get to the music, get to the good stuff. And yes, so what's for dinner tonight?
Dinner tonight? We're gonna fry some chicken, I think.
Okay. All right. So you guys still have a beautiful day. Enjoy Mexico City. And thanks a lot for being in the show. And hope to see you in real life soon. When it allows. Right?
You so much. Take care of yourself.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.
All right, dear audience who is probably not there at the moment, but maybe later on by rewatching it. Thanks also for being in the show if you were, and thanks if you maybe watch it later on. And I had a wonderful time with these beautiful guests here in Mexico City. There's going to be other shows. There are no guests aligned yet, but you will get to know it on my channel. I will let you know. And just subscribe also to Culture Quarantine Show, and you'll get news about what's going on next. And that's about it. I had a lot of fun. I hope you had it too. Stay safe, stay healthy, and listen to good music. And see you soon. And now I just have to go over here, and I'm gonna close down. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.